Continuing to work through the skills test for trigonometry. We want to know how far north the ship is from its mooring, that is, how far directly north. That makes a right-angled triangle, and that is our unknown. If ever you are uncertain about a bearings question, having drawn the diagram, simply redraw just the triangle, and that should help to clarify what you're doing. Label our sides, choose your ratio, and write it. Substitute in your values that you know, rearrange to solve. And kilometres, since it's a word question, word answer, how far north is the ship from its starting point? Therefore, the ship is 5.2 kilometres north of its starting point. You answer the question that they've asked. A ship travels due south for 3 kilometres, then on a true bearing of 130 degrees for 5 kilometres. If there is no diagram, you must draw a diagram. Your starting point is always at the centre of your compass rose, and you should use a ruler. Try not to smudge the dodgy pen, at least label north. We went due south for 3 kilometres, so arbitrarily pick a point that is 3 kilometres. Then on a true bearing of 130 degrees. Now every time you change direction, you sketch in a new little compass rose, because that will help you work out where that new direction is going. 130 degrees is somewhere between 90 and 180. So pop that out that way, somewhere that looks about right, and that's 5 kilometres. And that is the trip that has been taken. Find out how far east the ship is from its starting point. So east, this way, we can simply use this last triangle here. Again, if you are at all uncertain, you will need to redraw the triangle. This is 130, so the angle within the triangle is 130 minus 90, 40 degrees. We want to know how far east. This is our x. If you were uncertain, you would redraw that triangle. Label our sides. Now, 3.83 kilometres. And again, word question, you would give a word answer. Next question, find how far south the ship is from its starting point. Correct at 2 decimal. Oh, I did. Okay, we're good. How far south? Now, this measurement here, y, is our south offset from the second compass rose, but we will have to add 3 kilometres to that to get the actual answer. And be very careful if you're working here. First we will find y. So this will be opposite of hypotenuse. that is y. Do not just write y equals this plus 3 is 6.21 kilometres. That is not y. You've found y. The displacement south is 3 plus y. 3 plus y equals 6.21 kilometres. And again, word answer, therefore, the ship is 6.21 kilometres south of its starting point. Do remember, by the way, that when you draw the compass rose, you could end up using a different triangle. I could have done this triangle, or I'll find a different colour. I could have used this triangle here, in which case I would have a 50-degree angle there, and I would still get the same answers, but I would be showing slightly different working. Next two questions, angles of elevation and depression. The angle of depression from the top of a 35-metre cliff to the house at the bottom is 23 degrees. Remember, the angle of elevation and depression always hits the horizontal, not the vertical. How far from the base of the cliff is the house? That will be our x. If we were feeling uncertain at all, we would draw a triangle. Now notice there's two triangles you can draw here. You can go this one, or you can go this one. It is absolutely up to you. This would have a 23-degree angle, and our x is there, and it's a 35-metre cliff. If the value isn't given on the diagram, you'd better put it in, either there or on your redrawn triangle. Or, of course, I could have used this triangle here, 35 metres. Now you could work out this angle by subtracting it from 90, or you could remember that angles of elevation and depression are equal, and so that's 23 degrees. So there's all sorts of different ways we could have solved this. Just using this one, I've got adjacent and opposite. Sorry about juggling around there. And once you've got your answer, how far from the base of the cliff is the house? Therefore, the house is 84.5 metres from the base of the cliff. You often see these questions with lighthouses and ships down here, and this is ocean, because that's exactly what lighthouses are there for. Every lighthouse flashing pattern identifies it on the map for the height of the lighthouse, and you can take a reading of an angle up to the lighthouse from your ship and work out how far you are from the dangerous cliffs. Two vertical buildings. If there is no diagram, you draw a diagram. Sometimes they'll ask for the distance apart, but they've given us that. That's 57 metres. So it's going to be the angle that they're after here. Sometimes it's the height. Do remember, just draw your buildings as lines. Don't get all complicated. They're different heights. They've given us the heights. This is 158. This is 237. You want the angle of elevation from the top of the shorter building to the top of the taller building. And is angle of elevation, so it is from the horizontal. This is our angle. I would redraw the triangle, because you'll have to find this side here. Mark the angle we're finding. 237 minus 158 gives me 79. Label our sides. Incidentally, it's sometimes an idea to pop those in circles so you don't accidentally think that you've got a 0 there. That's an angle, so therefore second angle and DMS usually 54 degrees 11 minutes.